Good afternoon, y'all. Hope you're all having a really great day. I was sitting down and I was painting this last evening, and I thought what I would do is we could finish it together. So I want to probably put some highlights in some places, maybe, add the tree foliage and a few other things. So with further ado, let's head on over down to the table and see what we can get done on this painting. Follow me. Okay, so here we are. Howdy once again. We got down here at the table here, and we're going to just kind of finish up this painting. This is where I left off last evening. I have mostly all watercolor. In few places here and there, I have some acrylic yellow, and I think I might have had a couple other colors, but we're going to just continue on here. I might, use some acrylic, I might not. So we'll just continue on. So what we're going to do, I got my paint, I got my something to wipe it on, I've got my water, and so we're ready to go. So I think what I'm going to do first, and I meant to grab the fan brush, so we're going to grab the fan brush because fan brushes make really awesome areas of grass and so forth like that. So we're going to get a green, and we're probably going to get some yellow into the green, and it's up front, it's going to be down here, so it's kind of in your face, so to speak. So I'm just going to, that's a little too much water. What we don't want is too much water to do the grass, because I want to see the what do you call them, the lines that I'm making, the grass that I'm making. I want to literally see it. So I think I must have some water puddled in there. So anyway, we're going to take this. Yes, that's okay. So when that happens, when you get too much water in your paints, just take a paper towel or whatever you got nearby and take it out, wipe it out. So we'll have to grab some more paint. It's okay. A little more paint. I want to get a good green, and I want it to have some yellow ochre in it. And I want it to have a little burnt sienna in it. So we're going to put that. All right. Well, let's try that again. So we'll get that, because I need it. I need to be able to see it down here, so that's not going to work. All right, so I got some stronger color here. We'll put that on first. And then we'll go, I forgot to put out my other yellow. I have these little containers like this that carry the acrylics so they don't get mixed into my watercolor paints, because you don't want that to happen. If that happens, then watercolor dries hard, and you're going to have hard, paint in your watercolor paints. So you don't want that. Okay, so we're just taking some of that and some of that from there, and there we go. We kind of can see it now. I'm going to add a little red. I like the red grasses as well. We're just putting in some color down here at this bottom part down here. Get that off, and I want to get some of this darker just for a few little sprigs here and there. And as Bob Ross used to say, here and there and there and here. I hope you're all just really having a really good day. And I'm going around to the rest of some little places where I have greens. And I'm just going to very little bits add in these types of grasses that kind of, they're a little bit more than what I've got down here. So in little areas, I want some darker, and some areas I want some lighter, just to sort of show the, it kind of says, yep, that's grass. You know what I mean? I don't have to do this, but I kind of would like to. So this is just a flicking, but it was wet down here. It was wet, and so I didn't get the more pronounced lines of the grass. So I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. And while I let that dry, I'm going to change the brush. And I'm going to come use the, well, let's see here. I guess I will use this one. It's a round brush. We'll see if it's too big in a minute. Okay, so we're going to get some, I wanted to come over here and on my light source, okay, you have to determine, as it's been talked about, and I've talked about it before as well, when you paint, you kind of got to establish where is the light coming from. Is it coming from the left side, the right side, where, from the top? Where is it, coming from? Once you've established that, that's how you do your highlights. So mine's the left, because you see I have the left side of this house with white for highlight. I have the left side of this house and this area lighter. This is lighter. Over here on everything going that way is darker. And the more you look at it, the more you see that. And that speaks and says to you, okay, her light source appears to be coming from the left. And that, just determines a few things. I am having to use right now, because I want these highlights to kind of pop out, and I like the effect. And I'm actually using, and I think you can see what it's doing, I'm using the acrylic yellow. And that just popped out a whole lot of things. Come here, do some there. Wash off my brush really, really good, because I'm using acrylic at the moment. I used acrylic, so get that right away, get that right out of my brush. Okay. And then what I thought we would do, it's mostly just, finishing up with highlights is what this really is all about. So I'm going to take some sepia, I think it is. Yep, and I'm going to add a little bit of green into it. And I wanted to come, without putting my hand in this stuff over here, I wanted to come around, and I don't want very much water on my brush here. I want very, very little water on my brush. And I'm just dabbing to kind of make the side, and I'm going to come back here and establish this a little more. It's the sides, of the walkway. So we're just putting that in there. And I decided I was not going to add anything to this. I like this highlighted area over here. I actually used watercolor, and then I put some whites and dragged them over for highlight. So it really shows that. All right, and then I wanted to take some gamboge with the green, because I wanted to, it's really orange that I want, but I didn't have any more orange. Hopefully this will work. Okay, looks like it's gonna. And just for kind of like a layer, we're layering right now, okay? I have layer upon layer upon layer for these trees, and I love that look. Okay, another thing we're going to do, on this side here, on top here, we're going to put a light color, a lighter color than what is the brown. Not very much water at all. This particular brush hole, I don't use it that often, but uses a lot of water. It keeps a lot of water in there. And I am giving the highlighted sides of the fence. And I'm going to come over here with a bit of yellow and lighter and highlight a little bit of that tree a little more. And go into the white and the yellow part that I have there. And I'm just dabbing this to give this some highlights on this side of the tree. Excuse me. Wrong pipe. And again, I'm going to take my fan brush, go into a green. I like to vary the greens, so we have, different colored greens happening everywhere. Now this is getting pretty much dry, so I can start flicking some in there. Adding some more of the different colored greens here and there. It just, to me, makes it more organic, makes it more natural and real looking. Like that's grass, you know, and then we got some taller grass and some shorter grass and all that sort of thing. With this fan brush, I am going to make, there's a lot of ways I can make this foliage. I can use the round brush, I can use the fan brush, I can use different size square brushes, I can use, I could use a mop, I can use any brush. But right now, what I'm going to do is we're going to choose the fan brush. Get some yellow there and some greens. I don't want it very dark at first because we go from light to dark mostly when you do watercolor. So see, I'm dabbing, tapping, and going back and forth like this. It makes the coolest looking foliage. I really wanted some more yellowy in there because we're heading over to this side with the highlights, right? So let's put some other ones in there. And this tree's not going to be super full of foliage. You can do it however you like. You can have it so loaded you can't see the branches. Or you could have it very sparingly and you can see some branches. So it's all up to the painter and what they, want to depict, what they want. And then I'm going to go into some of this brownish and sepia color. I don't knock everything over. And I'm going to add just some of that into there for the darks and the lights, because in other videos I've talked about how you have to have darks and lights. You can't see the lights without the darks. So we need to always make sure that we have that going on. And then as it dries, this tree I want nice and lit up, as you can see. I want it to kind of pop out there. And I'm even going to use the corner of this, which you can do, the corner of your fan brush. And I want to get a little more, grab too much, but that's okay, because I want to get a really nice bright, want some nice bright highlights, because once it dries, you can, it's also layering. You want to get some more on there. So that worked out fine, not any problem. You can save most any problem, or anything that you think is a problem. So I'm going to add some of that there. I'm going to actually go into that red. I said I really like and this is just like a field here that has not been, basically hasn't been mowed, and then of course the rest of the field is the fields are kind of the depiction of being mowed, right? So right now I'm just kind of adding in these, and as I said before, it's a flick. Put it down to the paper, the tips, and flick, because all I want the blades, that's the word I was trying to find. I want the blades of grass. So something's not working out for me here this morning. Afternoon. Actually, it's afternoon. But that's okay, because this is to the back and it's a little dark, and I'm even going to get in some sepia here. I guess I need to spray that a little bit more. I already did this once, but apparently I need to do it again. Okay, so I'm even going to get some more. I'm going to get some sepia. Maybe I need to add some more to my palette, and some dark green, real dark green. And we're going to definitely put that down here, because we need a bit more on the dark side down here. It's kind of wet. I think that's a lot of the problem right now. I have to kind of wait till it, well, I just had a big chunk of purple flop into my paints. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty wet, and that's part of the issue. So what I'm going to do, give it a couple more flicks. I want light areas and dark areas. So we're going to let that dry. We're not going to fool around with that anymore. So now, as you can see from what I was doing before up here with my tree, it's soaking into the paper, so it's coming down in its brightness. So I'm going to go get some more. As I said, this happens to be an acrylic yellow on top of, yes, watercolor colors. I'm going to come in here, right with the end of what I've got on here. I'm going to add some because it's coming over here. All right, what I need to do is I need to get a little green and a little yellow together. And kind of, this, you can't really see that tree. Can't make out that there is an actual tree there. So we need to establish that. Right in the background here, it was supposed to be a tree. So we'll get, see, you can use the corner of these for trees as well. So that's better. And I think I'll actually have it come right out like that. And even be even bigger, like a nice big old fat tree back there. I think that sounds good, don't you? And then we just come in here with the corner of it and and then the darker green down here. And that kind of depicts that. We need to have some darker areas here in some of them. Again, you have to have the darks with the lights. So see, that tree stands out more now. So we've highlighted a few areas. And I thought what I would do is take one of my very small brushes here, small, round, and I think I want to make another fence kind of happening right here. I don't know why, but for some reason I'm seeing that, and that's kind of how it works, right? You see it in your mind, and it's like, I think I'm going to put that there. Now this is a round, and I'm using the very tip. I'm going to come here. I sort of want it going up that way. So I've got my baby finger down here, and I can't see very well here, can we? Oh, sorry, I was out of the camera. All right. Well, I hope I wasn't out of it for the whole thing. So, very light pressure. It's going off into the distance. So, as we go off into the distance, we're going to get closer to what we already have, right? Because it gets smaller as something gets further away. And we're just going to add the fence posts will get a little bit bigger as it comes closer. The lines will get a bit bigger, and they will trail off to smaller, to light and smaller. You can see that. Well, hopefully you can see that. Then we'll just take some light color here, and on this side, it's not that important with this because it's to the back, so it might have a highlight. You can put your highlights, pretty much wherever you want to put your highlights. Just kind of, try to do with what you're trying to depict. But I mean, the sun shines. If you think about it, the sun shines in all areas, everywhere, especially if it's a sunny day, right? So there. I'm going to put a little bit more right on here, a little of this white. Stand those highlights out a little more, and I'm going to dab this tree with that white. When you have some color on your brush, try to think, okay, where else on the painting do I need to go with this color? Instead of I just got in the habit of going, okay, I still have this color on my brush, so where else do I need it, Kind of helps with the saving of watercolor of the paints. All right, so we've got that. And I put some of these, grassiness kind of, these things going on here. And I like to have that near fences. So we'll just kind of have a few little areas, right? And then I'm going to come back down here with this on my brush because I have it on my brush right now. And I think we'll come over here to the fence, grab some more distinguished green there, a little bit of orange, and I think I'll dab some areas for the depiction of the grass here as well. Gotta get another color here. It's not showing up very well. Wow, giving me some trouble this morning. Okay, so here we go. I mean this afternoon. All right, so we just got little bits, right? Here and there and there and here. And this is, I want to keep that like that. I like it like that. I'm gonna come over here. Might dab a little bit of greens here and there in the walk in this driveway here. There's not too much more I had left to do because I don't like the videos to go too long. But so we have, I like to pick it up sometimes and look and see, all right, what else? What else could I add? I mean, there's tons and tons of things that I could add. I'm gonna move this camera up just a little bit because I keep going out of camera for you. I must have this in a different spot than was yesterday. So that's, I do see another area here that I want to get some of the dark green. And I'm using a round brush right now. And right next to the house where it would be very shady, right? It would be extremely shady, you know, by the house, behind the house and all that kind of thing. And I wanted to add that in for, and then what I'm going to do is get some light again and at the tops. Because these trees here are coming a little to the back, so I don't want them real bright like I had put on the other ones. These here I did because they're definitely in the sunshine. The sun is, you know, really shining down on them. And then I wanted to get one of my light greens, which this happens to be the acrylic. See how nicely it works? I think it works nicely in the paintings. I might even come here and do a layer like that. Yeah, that's good. That just added what I was kind of looking for. And that's what happens when you're painting, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to add some of that light green and also a bit of the very dark right next to the house. Here where the trees are kind of, you know, it would be shading. That's better. Okay. Because you've got light parts of your trees and dark parts of your trees. And the trees that are leaning, you know, that are about around the house, so to speak, in areas that are going to be shaded and darker where the house is shading them. Now I want to get something else down here, and for some reason I can't seem to, I think I'm going to go to this yellow again and a little gamboge, and I want to flick some, yeah, there we go, needed to dry. Because I wanted to depict the light shining on some of these as well. All right. Now you could be looking at this and you could be thinking, I'd like to do that over there and that over there and this and that and the other, and that is totally your prerogative. You can absolutely do that. I'm going to get a small brush and we're going to put a rock in a couple of places here. So I'm going to get a dark color. I need something dark. I don't normally use black, so I mix colors. I'm going to put a rock just sitting right here. You can put them wherever you like. And maybe just a little one here. I don't want very, you know, I think I'm going to make this one in the front quite a bit of a larger rock. There we go. Just kind of, it's just sort of, you know how rocks, they just appear. So we're going to put those there. And on one side, I need to get a grayish color, right? A lighter color for highlights, a gray. So I'm just going to add white to these different colors that I have zooming around on my palette. I'm actually going to put a little red in there. I like reds and blues and so forth in rocks. We'll get a little blue, just a little bit. It's going to be on the left, on the right side. It's going to be dark anyways because that's shadow. And I'm going to go back to my white. And whoop! Now see what happened there? I had a whoo! I'm glad I caught that, but I didn't catch it in time. It just plopped down a bunch of water. Excuse me, on my painting. Those are called happy accidents, and we work with it. So I'm gonna back in, mix that dark color. Some days things don't cooperate with you as much as they do others. It appears that's what's happening right now. So I'm gonna get a little more white here, and we want some nice highlight on this front side of the rock. You can make it as light or as, gray as you want it. I'm going to put a couple of areas really light and leave the rest dark. Just sort of, the sun is saying, oh, the sun is really right there. It's really, really shining right there. You can do that in certain other little areas. Just grab it and just kind of dab it here and there and say, yeah, it's kind of, the sun's kind of really strong right there. We can do the same thing on the fence. We can actually do the same thing like right here. Wiggle some white around. But that's, really lit up light there. I'm actually going to put a little bit of white into that mixture of yellow that I had. Okay. And as I said, there's a million things that I could keep doing, but I don't want my videos to go long, and this one's already gone long enough. So when you're done with your painting, you want to sign it, which I will. And we've, finished up. I think it's pretty, a pretty nice little painting here. We have a field, we have depth with a house in the back, so you want it smaller. It's all kind of rules going on here that you learn as you learn, painting with, and those are basically with any kind of painting. But we've got a lot of things going on. I've got some pretty mountains in the background. Oh, one other thing which I always love to do. I've got to put my birds. Tip of the brush. Very way off here in the distance. We've got one. And that is it. That adds to our beautiful little landscape painting. So I hope you like that. I would never be able to do this whole thing with the shorter videos that I'm trying to do on my channel. I just want to give helpful tips and helpful things to teach you while I'm doing something. And I hadn't planned on making any video with this, but it occurred to me last night that the ending of this could make a good video with you. Feel free when you do yours to add whatever you want. So check out my other tutorials, folks. And there's a lot of other helpful stuff in there. There's some encouraging videos where I just talk and encourage you. Because my whole idea is to try to encourage you to, if you want to paint, if that's your desire with watercolor, that it's a process. It's quite a process, but everything starts at step one. After the thought, you got to make a step one. So in those videos, I give some encouraging suggestions and just talk to you. So check everything out. I hope you like it, and I hope you have a really great rest of your day. Bye for now.